Chapter 2. The Angelic Swordsman. A cool breeze swept across Adam's face as he opened his eyes. The sun was partially hidden by the trees towering over him. He sat up and gazed around. It didn't take long for him to spot Troy's ball cap just a few feet away, an instant reminder of everything that transpired that night. Troy was nowhere in sight, nor was the mysterious hooded woman or her pet he encountered before blacking out. Still, Adam felt uneasiness in his stomach. Usually, it was the massive crowds at the local store, his school, or his grandmother's church that brought forth that uncomfortable sensation that made him detest leaving the comfort of his home. This time, it wasn't the people that made him feel this way, considering there was no one else around. It was the unanswered questions running through his mind. Where was Troy? Who was that mysterious cloaked woman? And lastly, where in the world was he? Did he just fall asleep and dream the entire thing while waiting for his friend? It was possible, but if so, why didn't Troy wake him up and take them both home? Why was his cap still there, as if he never returned to retrieve it? The more questions, the more anxiety began to do what it did best when he was forced to do things outside his comfort zone.
I have to find Troy,
he declared, realizing that finding his friend may have been the only way to clear up the ongoing queries that were beginning to make his head hurt. That in mind, Adam reached for Troy's cap and lifted it off the ground. His heart nearly stopped as he froze and stared at what appeared to be a tarantula. The slithering head of a snake extended from the spider's body to get a good look at the one who took its new home away. Heather, the wealthy and beautiful young woman at the party, probably would have screamed. Brendan, the bad boy who nearly pummeled him before her intervention, more than likely would have tried to secure it, getting bit in the process. He, on the other hand, relied on what his grandmother considered to be a believer's only weapon in a time of uncertainty. Prayer.
Don't move,
a voice advised from the sky, right after he delivered a short prayer of protection over his life. Adam opened his eyes, wondering if he had just heard the voice of God. Moments later, a sword fired from one of the trees like an arrow, piercing the creature in front of him.
Gotcha!
The same voice exclaimed. No, it wasn't God, Adam realized. He spotted a man crouched atop a tree branch in blue jeans and a muscle shirt, staring down at him through emerald green eyes. With a side-swept undercut of a sky-blue hue and a sturdy figure void of color, he resembled a fantasy character straight out of an anime. The tree he was on was quite high, but to Adam's astonishment, he managed a perfect landing after he leapt off the branch.
You're lucky, kid,
the young warrior said as he retrieved his sword from the decapitated organism. He wiped the end of the blade with his green muscle shirt, then slid it into the scabbard attached to his back.
Not everyone who encounters an Oracular lives to tell about it. They're quite poisonous.
He studied the ground as he spoke.
A rattler?
Adam thought. The pale swordsman creeped him out even more than the creature he just butchered.
By the way, name's Lance. Lance Cherubly,
he introduced, turning back to Adam's direction. Adam accepted the swordsman's extended hand with unease. The rough palm brought him to his feet within seconds, an overwhelming strength he did not expect. Now on his feet, he could see that Lance stood about his father's 6-foot stature, a height well beyond his own.
Adam, and thank you.
No problem. You don't look like you're from this neck of the woods.
Adam thought the exact same thing about him. The blue in his hair showed no evidence that it came from dye, and his complexion, too ghostly to be that of a human. And that sword, as well as his appearance overall, gave him a warrior-type vibe that alerted what Adam believed to be his spiritual discernment. If he didn't know any better, he would have thought he was face-to-face with a supernatural figure.
Anyway, it's surprising to find someone so young out here in Icon Forest, especially at these hours.
Icon Forest?
Yeah. I'm not sure where you're coming from, but don't underestimate this place, because you're bound to encounter a few Zaymen wandering around every now and then. I do many times during my morning training in the woods, and I can say that it's not the best place for a kid to explore by himself.
Zaymen,
Adam thought, wondering if he heard him right. He appeared around his surroundings again. Everything around him felt strange. Even before the oracular and Lance showed up, there was something otherworldly about his situation.
Are we near the river house?
He asked. Lance scratched his head and stared at Adam as if he had no idea what he was talking about.
River House?
Uh-huh. The one near Grayson University on the Owens estate? I don't think it should be too far from here.
Lance shook his head.
Sorry, never heard of it. But maybe my wife in Icon Village might know something about that place.
Village?
Adam shot Lance a bewildered glance.
I'm sorry, but did you just say village?
Lance nodded.
Yeah, the Icon Village, which is not too far from here. Don't tell me you seriously didn't know that. Unless... Wait a second. That light I saw earlier, I wonder if...
He looked at Adam as if he suspected something out of the ordinary, like Adam did.
You really aren't from around here, are you, Adam?
Adam closed his eyes.
This is just a dream,
He said aloud. As he reiterated those words in his mind, he backed away from the man he figured to be a figment of his imagination. Before he knew it, his legs were moving him in the opposite direction at a rapid pace he felt was no longer in his control. He had no idea where he was running, or even why he started running to begin with. But he ran.
God, please let me wake up soon.
He ran for a few minutes before slowing to walk, partially because he lacked the athletic endurance to continue, but also because he had no idea where he was going. Nothing seemed familiar. Even the trees themselves had a slight difference to their formation than the ones near the river house. A cartoonish exaggeration that resembled more of the art he often saw in fairy tales. One of the trees even looked as though it was alive, not in the way science implied every plant was a living organism, but in a way that made it seem it could talk, walk, or even reach out and grab him. Truthfully, he wouldn't have been able to navigate his way back home even if he was in the same forest. Troy's the one who drove them there to begin with, and the GPS they used on his phone was still locked away in Troy's truck. Without it, Adam had no idea how to get back home. He couldn't even remember how to get back to the dorms at Grayson University where his friend resided, which was supposed to be within the same vicinity. Someone was following him, he thought. The pale swordsman from earlier? No, a predator. Something avoiding the main path and trying to stay concealed behind the massive trees around him. He recalled reading that facing a wild animal head-on and showing dominance was better than running and showing fear. That in mind, he stopped walking and picked up a nearby stick, hoping the tactic would flush his pursuer into the open and give them the impression he was not easy prey. The tactic worked, at least the flushing out part. His predator stepped out into the open. Only it wasn't some four-legged wild animal. Instead, an incredibly tall, muscular, anthropomorphic wolf with blazing red eyes and spiky hair emerged from some nearby bushes and blocked his current path. He wore a pair of faded blue jeans, but his chest and feet were exposed and human-like. 3 other anthropomorphic wolves appeared behind him. One wore a black tuxedo, another wore a blue jumpsuit, and the last wore a long dress that highlighted a slim feminine figure. Adam assumed that the one in front was the leader because compared to the others, he looked the most ferocious. "Well, well, well, look what we have here," the head wolf spoke, startling Adam with his capability of speech. Though based on the wolf's appearance, it shouldn't have surprised him. "Looks like we have a Zaihu in our lair,"
A what?
Adam thought. Another strange word. "How should we welcome our guest, wolf leader?" The one in the tuxedo asked in an elegant accent.
What else, Loafy? We eat 'em.
The one in the jumpsuit yelled before licking his lips. Adam dropped the stick. There were plenty of playful survival guides on the internet about dealing with zombie outbreaks, but he had yet to see anything on how to deal with anthropomorphic beasts. Fending off just one would have been hard enough, but 4 was suicide. Now, Fionn, don't be too hasty," the one referred to as Wolf Leader replied with a grin. "There's no harm with playing with your food every now and then. And speaking of such," he continued as if he could anticipate Adam's plan to retreat, "it's time to play." By the time the head wolf delivered that last line, Adam was already gone. Even if he couldn't escape from his predators, retreating was a better idea than trying to fend off a pack of hungry anthropomorphic wolves that were taller than him. The wolves quickly caught up, with one just an inch away from grabbing his t-shirt. Before this could happen, however, his foot slammed into a rock wedged into the dirt, causing him to trip. Something soared over him within seconds, followed by a crash. After struggling to his feet, he spotted the wolf named Fian with his head stuck in a large tree hole.
Thank you, God.
He thought, realizing that if he hadn't tripped at that moment, the jumpsuit-wearing carnivore would probably be on top of him, ripping him apart.
Hey, get me out of here!
Fian demanded. He used his back legs to try and get out of the hole, but alone it was no use. "You are such a buffoon," Luffy said with arrogance as he made his way toward his ally. "I mean, what type of wolf your age misses his target? That's 34 years of experience down the drain."
Just shut up and help me out of this doggone hole.
Luffy and the female wolf grabbed one of Fian's legs and tried to yank him out of the tree.
Hey, careful! Ah, that hurts!
Oh, shut up, you big baby.
The female wolf snapped as both she and Luffy finally managed to get him out, throwing him against the ground. Unlike the other two, whose fur made up their hair, she had long humanistic magenta hair that fell across her shoulders.
Try not to get your head stuck in any more tree holes.
Oh, why, thank you for that advice, Nola, because that's exactly what I plan to do after this.
Nola placed one hand on her hip, the way Adam's grandmother did whenever his father fell out of line with her.
Don't get smart, Fianalis.
She said in that same no-nonsense tone. Fian growled.
Whatever!
Adam wanted to run long before the other two wolves freed their ally, but fear and exhaustion kept him glued to the ground. He just sat there, motionless, watching them through terrified eyes as they turned their attention back to him.
Now, time to eat!
Fian lunged. Adam closed his eyes. He had faith, but not enough to believe anyone could save him from the teeth and claws that would soon rip him apart. A deafening howl, followed by a crash, brought Adam's eyes open. Fian was lying against the same tree his allies had just freed him from.
Looks like breakfast has been canceled.
A familiar voice said, just as someone appeared beside him.
Lance?
He uttered. The swordsman, who wore Troy's ball cap backwards, kept his eyes on the wolves.
Stupid Zaias!
Fian spat as he struggled to get back on his feet.
I'll tear you to shreds for that!
He means, we'll tear you into shreds. Luffy rephrased with a more elegant tone, one that drew a chuckle from Lance. I'm sorry. Did I say something funny?
Kinda.
Lance said.
I mean, hearing that type of threat coming from someone who talks and dresses like they're about to serve me tea at a dinner party is pretty funny.
Luffy's eyes literally turned red as he immediately charged Lance alongside Fian. Adam dashed to a nearby tree for safety, but Lance remained. Their piercing claws met the end of his blade, creating a spark that forced them back. Before the two could even recover, Lance slashed the air in front of them. A wave of energy surged through the ground and blasted the duo into a set of trees.
Wow.
Adam thought. Just by his appearance, he could tell Lance was strong, but he had no idea the blue-haired warrior was so strong that a simple wave of his weapon could release so much energy. Lance then turned his sights on Wolf Leader, who, along with Nola, observed from a further distance.
If this is all your pack has to show for themselves, then you might want to walk away from this while you still can. After all, their strength is a reflection of the pack leader, and I assume that's you.
He pointed the end of his sword at Wolf Leader.
How dare you, you filthy Zaihu!
Nola said, taking a stance as if to attack. But Wolf Leader extended his arm in front of her. I got this, he told her. I admit, you're tougher than I thought, but don't get ahead of yourself. Those two aren't used to prey fighting back. I, on the other hand, he grinned. Let's just say I like my meat a little tough with some flavor.
Yeah? Well, you better look for it somewhere else.
Wolf Leader laughed. Nah, I'm good with a menu right here.
Then come over here and get your meal. Just so you know, it's not gonna be free. It might even cost you an arm and a leg.
I have a better idea. Instead of me going over there, What do you say we have a good old-fashioned slash-off?
A slash-off?
Adam thought. The tree he sought refuge by was a good bit away from the two men, but he was certain that's what he heard. Lance lowered his sword.
Fine with me, but I doubt it would change the outcome.
Wolf Leader laughed again. You really are something else, kiddo. When this is all over, I think we're all going to enjoy having you and that boy over for breakfast. Lance turned away.
When this is all over, don't say I didn't warn you.
Adam was a bit confused when Lance started to separate himself from Wolf Leader by a good running distance. He was even more confused that Wolf Leader did not attack him as he made his way to the opposite side.
It's a slash-off.
A woman said. Adam jumped, realizing that Nola had made her way to him from her last location without him even noticing.
I'd prefer if you don't try and run. I'm a lot faster than those other two.
Her beauty made her appear less menacing, but Adam knew she was more of a threat than the other two Lance easily put down. He decided it was best not to test her speed. Of course, this meant placing his life in the hands of a man he just met.
What's a slash-off?
He asked.
I figured you were a little young to know what that is. A slash-off is when two competitors face each other with their weapon, usually a sharp edge, then slash at one another upon passing by to the opposite side. The one left standing is declared the winner, obviously. In this case, it'll be the blue-haired moron's sword versus WL's super sharp claws.
Adam returned his attention to the two men.
Blue hair is pretty strong, no doubt, but I highly doubt he'll win something like this, as a slash-off is built more so on speed than strength. It doesn't matter how strong you are if you fail to slash your opponent first upon impact.
Hearing that, it made sense that was the route Wolf Leader decided to go. From what Adam observed so far, an upfront fight with Lance was bound to lead to his defeat. At least this way, he seemed to have more of a chance of winning. That is, if his speed was superior to his opponent's.
WL has had over 50 years of experience in fighting.
Nola carried on.
And if you know anything about us wolves, we start hunting a few months after we are brought into the world. That Zaias who looks barely in his 20s doesn't stand a chance against that type of experience. And after WL kills him,
She shifted her magenta eyes toward Adam.
we're going to eat both of you. Chances are he'll be dead, but unfortunately, we might be eating you alive.
The thought of several wolves tearing into his flesh while he was still conscious was hard enough for Adam to imagine. But even worse was knowing that if Lance failed to win this slash-off, his grandmother would be having Sunday dinners alone for the rest of her life. Wolf Leader and Lance faced each other from a distance and formed a striking stance. 5 seconds went by. Then they moved like lightning toward one another. Nolan and Adam watched intently as they met, sword and claws. Both remained motionless with their backs facing one another.
Please, Lord, let Lance be okay.
Adam prayed. Nola giggled.
I don't know who this Lord fellow is, but I already told you a Zaihu's not capable of defeating WL. And that being said, looks like we'll be having you and your friend over for breakfast. Which none of us have eaten yet, by the way.
She licked her lips as she stared at Adam.
Something tells me it's going to be a killer meal.
My apologies, ma'am, but we won't be able to make it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Lance said, while coolly sliding the sword in the scabbard strapped to his back. Nola looked away from Adam the moment she heard his voice.
Wait, you won? But if you're the victor, then what happened to...
She paused, no doubt noticing the slight change in her leader that Adam had spotted when Lance confirmed his triumph. Wolf Leader's tail, it was slowly tilting, then completely fell off, causing him to collapse.
Not bad for a Zaihu. Wouldn't you say so, lady? Just so you know, I'm a lot older than I look.
Lance bragged.
His attack missed me by an inch. I suppose 50 years of experience wasn't enough, huh? And that's pretty bad considering that was all his life. If what you said about you wolves is true.
Wolf Leader!
Nola howled at the top of her lungs. She darted to her wounded master as if she were trying to win a race. No! Wolf Leader cried. He hopped off the ground and began running in circles like a dog chasing its tail. My tail! It's gone! He sliced off my tail!
Calm down. Together we'll make him...
No.
What do you mean, no?
What do you think? He just cut my freaking tail off. I'm not going near him again. He's way too dangerous.
Are you serious?
Wolf Leader retreated without answering.
Hey, come back!
She yelled, running after him. Fian and Lafe, who were back on their feet, followed.
So much for the big bad wolf.
Lance mocked. As much as Adam wanted to celebrate the victory, his entire body began to ache. In addition, his vision blurred, and his head started spinning, which eventually led him to collapsing across the grass.
Hey, kid, you all right?
He heard Lance ask while a blurred image ran to his aid. Before he could offer any response, he blacked out.